everybody, it's Kelsee Brianna J, and today I wanted to do a comparison of some shades in the Huetopian Dream palette against the entire Mothership Kingdom. And I mean the entire Mothership Kingdom. So I pulled out all of my Pat McGrath eyeshadows, singles, palettes, quads, you name it. I pulled out all stops because I've been getting a lot of messages from you guys saying that you think that the Huetopian Dream palette is just too similar to some of the other eyeshadows that Pat McGrath already has. So I wanted to see for myself. On one eye, I'm going to do a look using solely the Huetopian Dream palette. And on the other eye, I'm going to do an eye look using eyeshadows that I feel are similar in other Pat McGrath palettes. Now to create this eye look, I just pulled from any palette or single or quad that I thought had a similar tone or color to it. So to create the similar eye look, I didn't have the convenience of just using one palette. I used all of my eyeshadows in conjunction with one another. And I know sometimes that can feel weird, especially because we've been so spoiled to the point where we just feel like we need to use one palette to create a look. But sometimes we gotta remember to play and pull out all of our stuff and use it. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. And I also want to show you all swatch comparisons of all the shades that I felt like were similar to this palette, but I'm going to do that at the end. If you want to jump ahead to that, for whatever reason, you're going to miss out on all the fun, but if you want to jump ahead, I will have timestamps in the description box. So I hope that you all enjoy this video. Let me know if you all have the Huetopian Dream palette. Are you still considering it? Let me know down in the comments section, and let's go ahead and get into this eye look. Let's bust into our Huetopian Dream palette. And I'm going to do my right eye using the Huetopian Dream. And I'm going to do my left eye using the other eyeshadows that I'm going to pull from other Pat McGrath palettes. So my eyes are primed and ready to go. So now I'm going to pick up Secret Eden. This is going to be the starting basis of the look. And I'm going to take that right in the crease. And this is a really pretty mauve-y, soft tone pink that you all love and adore. So I'm just going to take this back and forth and use this as my transition shade. And this tone is going to start off pretty soft, and then I'm just going to diffuse it upwards and make it even softer because I don't want it to be a super focal point of the eye look, but I do want to use this to kind of blend out and diffuse everything. So there we go. Next, I'm going to go into the Eternal Eden Quad and pick up a little bit of Earthly Delight. These two shades look super similar to me. I mean, Earthly Delight goes on a little bit more purple, but both of them have that muted mauve-ish type quality to it. So I'm just gonna take that and blend that out. Ooh, on the lid they look way different. Way different, even though in the pan they look somewhat similar, but they definitely read as two completely different colors for sure. Same mechanism, just blend it out. Y'all know I prefer this color because it's a little bit more purple in tone and not as pink. Already we're starting out and the look looks completely different. It's just completely different. This one is lighter, this one is darker. I mean, the tones are different in everything. There's not really a dupe for this particular shade in Pat McGrath's universe. Crease, we're gonna go back into Huetopian Dream and take Extreme Plum Noir. Same brush that I used for the crease. And I'm just gonna take this right on the outer corner. And this is going to bring us depth. I mean, what Pat does is execute her color stories so beautifully. There's not going to be a palette that's not cohesive, and you'll be able to create so many pretty looks using the shades just in the palette, just because the way that her mind works is so magical and she sees different color stories before you even know. So these two colors marry together beautifully. Love that. Dipping into Divine Rose 2, I'm going to pick up Extreme Burgundy. And this is one of the closest tones that I saw to Extreme Plum Noir. Just because it looks kind of brown, but then it has that shift of a little bit of purple. And I love that. That plumminess, to me, takes it to the next level. And while I think these colors are similar, Extreme Burgundy definitely pulls burgundy and has a little bit more purple in it. than Extreme Plum Noir does. Extreme Plum Noir to me pulls a little bit more brown. You can really see that similarity but that difference at the same time there. The left side is a lot more purple already just based on the transition color and the outer corner color versus the right side, which is a little bit more pinkish and a little bit more plummy like. Huetopian Dream, and I'm gonna go into Skin Show Nude. Let's pop that on the inner corner. I feel like this shade is one of the more dupeable shades in Pat's line. Even though she doesn't give us the same exact version of this tone every time, she varies it to a slight degree. But overall, once you get it on the lid, all these shades that she has given us that are in the Skin Show line are very similar. Some of them are a little bit more silvery, some of them are a little bit more neutral, some of them are a little bit more gold, but overall they look pretty similar. And I'm gonna pop that right underneath the brow area. For the other side, I'm going to pop open Mothership 5 and go in with Skin Show Divine Glow. And as you all can see, it pretty much looks the same. In the pan, it's going to pull a little bit more golden. This one has more of like a candlelight glow type finish. And this one is more so of a silvery, almost neutral type finish. Like I said, slight differences. They're not the same though. I much prefer this tone just because I like a white gold anyways. So this one is more so my preference. And this was a clean brush, by the way. I'm not double dipping. Huetopian Dream, and I'm going to go in with Astro Venusian Orchid. I just love this shade so much, and I'm going to take it on my lid. Everywhere where there's a blank space, I want this shade to be there. So I'm just going to take my time and build this up. It's not going to take long at all, but just make sure that you are blending it. This shade is just beautiful. It is a golden glimmer shade with a shift of purple and gold. Oh my gosh. Now I don't have a dupe for this shade, but I picked a shade that I felt was the closest. And this one is from the Ritualistic Rose Quad. I'm going to take Astral Rose Orchid. Now this shade is a little bit more pinky, peachy, rosy, as you all will be able to tell. Especially because this side has that lavender base color. And the lavender to me is not super loud. Unless you're up on it, then you might not even be able to tell that this has a tinge of purple to it. But with this shade on the left, you can tell that it's pink. Ooh, do we see the similarities but the differences? More pink, more purple. What do we think? It's very similar though. From afar, you might not be able to tell, but a trained eye can tell. Or if you're up close, you can tell. It's different. But I do have to say that Ritualistic Rose is my favorite quad of Fats. Love that quad. Back into Huetopian Dream, and I'm gonna go into Blitz Sex Dream. I'm gonna take that all across the lower lash line. Not on the inner part though. I'm going to save it, but all across the lower part. And I love the shift that this shade gives. It's so good. Do you see that? Oh my gosh. And I know you're thinking, what shade is similar to that? I got you, hold on. From the Bronze Temptation palette, I bring you the shade Corruption. This shade bears a resemblance to Blitz Sex Dream. So let's see how similar it looks on the lid. Same deal. I took a new brush. And I'm going to take that all the way across the lower lash line. Now, this is not a Blitz shade, but it still has that shift. It's a burgundy, bronze, golden with a little hint of green to it. But to me, it's missing that extra pop. That's where that Blitz comes in. It gives you that extra va-va-voom. But for this to be just a regular powder eyeshadow, it still has a beautiful duochrome effect, and I love it. So now let's look at what we've done here. Without adding any liner or lashes, how similar do these eyes look? Does it look like the same? Would you be able to tell I have on two different eye looks? Or is it similar enough to where you'd be like, you know what, you're good. You can walk out of the house and not even tell anybody. Who's gonna know? Huetopian Dream eye. Hodgepodge of other things eye. I'm gonna put on my liner and lashes and finishing touches of makeup, and I'll be right back and I'll talk about my final thoughts about everything. Both of these eyes look extremely similar. And I mean, there are key differences here, as you all could tell. When I first started and I did the transition, it obviously looked different. And then when I did the outer corner, it obviously looked different. But then when I put on that lid color and started blending, it was like, hold up. That kind of looks similar. And I mean, the lower lash line to me looks almost spot on. There's there's just a texture slash finish difference. So I say all that to say, the look that I did today using the Huetopian Dream palette can be achieved using other eyeshadows in the Pat McGrath kingdom, and that was demonstrated by what I just did. And I know that a lot of you all were kind of on the fence about the Huetopian Dream palette because you felt like it looks like something else that Pat McGrath had given us before. And as you all saw in the demo, individually, there are certain differences with all of the colors. I don't think that Pat McGrath just gives us dupes, because as you all can tell by the color swatches that I'm going to show you, there are differences in all of these shades. But I will say that there are similarities there, and it's very obvious the type color story that Pat prefers, because she does tend to give us different variations of that throughout her work. And I don't dislike that. It's just something that you have to be aware of if you are a person who does not collect for the sake of collecting. If you are building your makeup collection with the intent to have differing colors, then if you have all of her other eyeshadow palettes, then I wouldn't say that this palette is that distinctive to where you should have it and it's gonna look so much different than anything else, because as you all can see, I created a very similar eye look. But if you're like me and a lot of the other Pat McGrath fans, you collect for the sake of collecting and you're gonna buy it anyways. But this video is not really for the hardcore people who are gonna buy it anyways, because I'm not trying to tell you not to buy it and I'm not trying to tell you to buy it. I'm just showing you that there are similarities throughout this palette of colors that she's already given us before. And dare I say, the Huetopian Dream palette is like a Pat McGrath greatest hits. But I will say that I prefer this palette to even the Divine Rose 2 palette, because I think the tones are a little bit richer and I have a greater amount of depth that I can use to create differing eye looks on my complexion. And I think these tones are super complementary to my complexion. And I think most people are comparing this palette to Divine Rose 2, saying this palette could be Divine Rose 3. And I agree. But I do think that Huetopian Dream leans a little bit more purple, which is what I love, versus pink like Divine Rose 2. It's all about personal preference, honestly. The vibe of this palette can be easily replicated, especially if you already have all of her other eyeshadow palettes, but it is a beautiful palette nonetheless. So if you are interested in it, it's gorgeous. I do think that it brings something different to the table, especially with those purple shades on the end. Even though she's given us so many purples before, none of the shades are the same. So I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and hopefully it helped you make a decision on whether or not you want to get this palette or not. I'm also going to include swatch comparisons if you want to stick around and check that out. That way you all can see all of the shades that I feel are most similar in Pat McGrath's line next to the shades in the Huetopian Dream palette. Let me know what you all think down in the comment section. And if you like videos like this, give me some more stuff to compare. I'm down. Let me know. And make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell to become a Kel Belle and be notified whenever I do upload new content. So I'll check you all in my next video, which will be super soon. Smooches. Bye.